I'm here with Colin Sprake. Colin is the founder, started a company called Make Your Mark in 2004, best-selling author of 4 books, actually co-authored a book with Brian Tracy, created multiple million-dollar businesses. And this is the one thing I wanted to read off to the people watching here, which is quite impressive. Jack Canfield, for those who know, is co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, said, Colin is an amazing trainer, a wonderful speaker, and a great business coach. I love his values, I love his beingness, and I love where he comes from. He has really figured out how to support people to not only learn, but to produce results in the world. To get the kind of reinforcement and accountability built into his programs that produce ongoing results for people so that they can break through. He's a beautiful man with a huge soul and a great heart and a great business acumen, supported by an incredible staff of loving, caring, competent people. He's one of the guys who does the best work on the planet. And I just thought that was what I've seen so far of you in the short time that we've known each other, Colin. I absolutely can attest to that. And I went on your website, and I love the first thing that pops up. It says that 99% of business owners never make serious profits. Our mission is to turn that statistic on its head. So again, making a big difference in the world. So Colin, if you don't mind, if you could maybe just share with us a little bit about your background and how this all came to be.
Absolutely, and it's my pleasure to be here as well, Jamie. And for all the viewers out there, I got into, since a child, I've always wanted to be helping people in some way or form. I've always been helping people. My whole background is actually in metallurgical engineering. So when I left school, I got qualified as a metallurgical engineer, did a business degree as well. And, after about being in that industry probably for around 10 years, just really realized I wasn't feeding my soul anymore. Yeah. Going out and destroying the jungles and what have you, just over getting gold out or diamonds or whatever it might be. I was, this doesn't feed me anymore. It's, I'm really in line with making the world a better place, right. And destroying the Amazon definitely wasn't in alignment with my core values. Yeah. So I left the industry. I left the whole entire mining industry in 2004, and started up Make Your Mark. And really, nothing drives me more than watching people become more successful. And I really mean that, not from a place of a monetary place or anything like that, just from a place of, so many people suffer every single day, and they don't get to where they want to be. And you might not know this about me. As a 14-year-old, I was suicidal. I actually attempted suicide twice as a 14-year-old. And I watch how many business owners, how many families are super financially challenged out there. And I just want to help people see life differently, do things different, and be different. Wow. At the end of the day.
That's incredible. So obviously making a difference in people's lives is something that's of the utmost important. But what made you decide that Make Your Mark was the avenue to do that? Because obviously there's so many ways that we can impact people. What made you go down that road?
For me, of course, I'd started at numerous companies, and I'd watched how many people were challenged, in business. And I was really thinking to myself, how do I help people? Because I watch people lose fortunes. I mean, one of the saddest things for me is to drive past, and I've been like this since I was a kid, and I always wonder why it really impacted me. Was I drive past, strip malls or what have you, see like a pizza place open up, and 6 months later be gone, and I'm like, wonder what happened to them, where they went. Then I grew into my later on in life, and I started to realize those people probably lost everything. Right. Lost their life savings, lost marriages, what have you. And I was like, this has to be different. Right. There has to be something that we can do differently. So I decided to really get into the business side of things and really shift the world through business as opposed to, doing it any other way. And, there's so many people becoming business owners nowadays. I mean, even within Experior and where Experior is right now, everyone's pretty much independent business owner. And for me, it's really getting people to understand that you can be successful, you can do things different. And I started that, and hence why the company name is Make Your Mark. It's like, I believe everyone should make their mark on this planet in some way or form. Where it doesn't always have to be money. It could be philanthropic, it could be spiritually, it could be just doing good for people. I really believe we're all on this planet to do good for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I loved about some of the teachings that you're doing is that it's not just motivation, although it's motivational, but it's practical steps. We've spoken to now a couple of our advisors that have already taken your course and are going through your course, have had nothing but good things to say, which is amazing. How much do you think? Because I preach this all the time, but how much do you think the mindset is as it pertains to business? Because some people just think I'm going to work really, really hard and I should see results. What do you think the answer to that is in terms of the mindset versus just working hard?
Yeah, I think I'm going to say to you, let me talk. I'll give an example of Michael Phelps, the swimmer.
Yep.
The big thing for me, and I say it to a lot of our students, and I'll answer your question around the mindset as I go through this, is that Michael Phelps, when he wakes up every single morning, he goes to the pool, he trains for 4 to 8 hours, whatever number of hours he trains. He does what he has to do every single day. And he goes there, gets coached, gets told what he has to be doing every single day. Do you think he loves doing that?
No.
Absolutely not. That's the thing, is I don't really care how people feel today on their way to being successful. I care how you feel when you achieve the success.
Right.
So when Michael Phelps stands on that gold medal podium, every single morning getting up early has been worthwhile.
Right.
Every single day at that pool, every single day of being coached. And I think that's the key thing for me is, it's, mindset is a big part of it, but mindset leads to, there's always like a combination of the two, of mindset and habits.
Right.
Michael Phelps knows he's got to be there every single day. In fact, if you read of any of his work or listen to any of his interviews, he will say to you, if he stops for a day, it takes him 4 days to get back on track.
Wow.
And that for me is, for anyone watching and listening to this, is to understand that what you do every single day, it was fascinating. I come into your office here and I read in the reception area, there's one statement there, of one thought can change your day when you get up in the morning. It can drive you up or can drive you down. And for me, there's nothing in between. Your habits either drive you up and make you more successful, or get you on a path to success, or they drive you the opposite way. There's no flat line. And for me, mindset, I believe, is the most important part of life. The reason why we become successful, we are driven, and your whole statement of just work hard. Yeah, you can work hard. I believe that you'll eventually get there. But when you work, I don't think learning more strategies and getting more tools every single day is going to help you until you get your mindset on track. When you get tools or strategies around having the right mindset, you create really good morning habits, daily habits, evening habits. That's when life changes.
Right.
And when you get those tools, it makes it so much easier, because I believe knowledge is not power. As much as people will believe knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power, it's only potential power. Right. Implementation is where the power is at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most important.
In launching Make Your Mark in 2004, you started from scratch. Like nothing.
Nothing, zero.
Zero. So a lot of people watching this probably at zero, or feel like they're at zero.
Yeah.
What were some of the roadblocks that you faced in building this enterprise that you've now created all across North America, and how did you overcome those hurdles?
Yeah, interesting. That's a super interesting question. For me, it would be, when I wake up in the morning going, what am I doing today? Where do I find that first customer or what have you? For me, I got really focus, and this is, I think, most people's challenge is, what you think your client's going to be today or for the next 6 months will not be the same client that you'll be attracting 12 months from now, because you'll go off on a different tangent. The biggest thing is asking yourself, what habits do I have today in order to make sure I get the results I'm looking for? So for me, I said, okay, there's so many people I have to meet every single day. I have to go out, first of all, define who I'm looking for, and then say, okay, how many people do I need to meet this week? And go out. My goal was always 10 people a week. I need to go meet 10 people I can tell about my program. I went to many networking groups, and I went out with a very set message of how I can help them. And my goal was get 1 or 2 clients on board out of the 10. Pretty bad closing ratios, but at the end of the day, I had to do something towards what I wanted. Right. And then it became much better for me, where I knew eventually I was getting 8 out of 10 people that I spoke to, even sometimes 9, would become clients. And that took time to build that up. But I knew I had to go to the pool every single day. I had to go to the networking group, just like Michael Phelps had to go to the pool. I had to go every single day and do the work. As much as I hated it, as much as I didn't feel good, I didn't feel great. I might have got out of bed that morning and go, just another freaking day. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. But you know what? That's how champions are born. Right. Champions are, well, not born, but champions are made when you get consistent at certain habits. And that's what I started to do, and that's what made Make Your Mark so successful. I built this entire company off networking. I used to go to 12 networking events a week. Wow. And then do all the follow-up and everything else. And people are like, Colin, how did you, 12 networking events? You were crazy. I'm like, yeah, but that's how I got Make Your Mark to a 7-figure business in 12 months. In fact, it took me 11 months, and I had a 7-figure business. Wow. And people are like, wow, look at all the work you did. I'm like, I went to the pool every day. I trained every day. Saturday, Sundays were not days of rest. Saturday, Sundays were catch up, do follow-up, do whatever I had to do from the week's work. And that's where I see so many people fall off track, is that people want to they start a business and they want the freedom and the flexibility and all that kind of stuff in the beginning.
Right.
You only get that when you're successful.
That's right.
It doesn't happen in the begining.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you go to the gym, you don't lose the weight and then train.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You train and then you lose the weight.
That's my problem. I knew there was something. Anyway, well, you know what, Colin, that's amazing. And 7 figures in 11 months. Now, I would also argue that you probably put in 10 times the effort in that first 11 months than maybe some of your counterparts in the same industry as you have done that maybe didn't experience the same success. Would you say that?
Yeah, I'd say I put way more effort in. And even if I look back now, I've actually gone back to some of the networking groups, Jamie, which is fascinating. And I've gone back to them, and some of the people are still in the groups.
Wow.
And they're like, wow, Colin, look how successful you are. I'm like, there's no luck in the world. No. You make your own success.
Right.
I got very clear from a very young age that, and I use the Michael Phelps story because it's such a great story. I mean, if you want to use another story, is you take the young gentleman that I can't remember his name offhand that won skeleton at the 2010 Winter Olympics. Mm-hmm. And here's a guy going down headfirst on a board down some crazy ice track, and at Montgomery. And so he goes down and down. How many times do you think he went down that track to shave off like probably a thousandth of a second to get to win gold?
Yeah.
And the big thing that he did, like 5 years prior to the Olympics, he had never been to the Olympics. He had never done skeleton. He just woke up one day and said, how can I win a gold medal? And what's the easiest sport to do it in?
Yep.
And he went and he practiced every single day. A year later, he got himself onto Olympic qualifying rounds. And 4 years later, he was at the Olympics. So 5 years in total. And he went down that track probably 1,000 times, maybe even 10,000 times, to shave a thousandth of a second off his time to win gold. The same thing is like, those are your habits every single day that I developed I've developed this over time. And people said to me, Colin, you're so successful. I'm like, guys, it's got nothing to do with, me being successful. It's got to do with what are you doing every single day, whether you like it or not. You have to do these things, and it fascinates me how many people don't want to do it. They're just like, well, make me rich. You cannot get. I always say, you buy a gym membership. It doesn't mean that, but in 6 months' time you'll be skinny and buff.
Right.
You have to go to the gym and do something. In order to get there, and that's a lot of times where people. I see people in the financial industry, insurance industry, where they go from company to company to company, and the one thing they do is blame the companies. At the end of the day, no, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you saying, are you really getting the results? Because you're the one that needs to do the work. So I'm a big fan of, getting those habits in place, like I did when I did the networking. Every day, I went out networking, whether I wanted to network or not. I had these little smiley stickers that I bought from one of the local like Staples or whatever, or what have you, or dollar store or whatever. And there were smiley faces that I had stuck on my rearview mirror of my car, had one on the back of my phone. And even if I was as grumpy as heck that morning, like, just don't feel like doing this today, I'd get in my car, look at the smiley stickers, go to the networking event, and just do the networking event.
Wow.
And that I have consistently done, and I still do networking. I still network and meet great people and what have you all the time. Maybe at a little bit different level, now with some of the great people I meet, like yourself and other people that have teams that we can serve and help in some way or form. But you never stop doing this stuff. You never stop. I've never stopped this. I wake up every single day and I go out and I do what needs to be done, whether I feel like doing it or not. And that's, I think, the key to success for everyone. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited because we've been talking a lot about some preliminary relationships that we're going to be building with you to come in and really help Experior in some of the areas where you help so many others. One thing I want to share with the people watching this, a lot of the Experior advisors will obviously be watching this, we're going to be sharing this. And I'm wondering, what are some of the success stories that really strike a chord with you, that you've seen people that have worked with you? What have they been able to accomplish? Where did they come from? That sort of thing. If you have a couple off the top of your head, I'd love for you to share that with the folks here.
With pleasure. And, for me, I'll keep names out of it because I think it's unfair with some of the people. I actually, even just, prior to coming to this interview with you today, I was with a client. And this gentleman started with me, at pretty much 8 months ago. He was at zero income. He came in, he was like zero income. He's now just past the $40,000 a month income. Wow. 8 months later. And he said to me, Colin, I can't thank you enough. And I said to him, what did you do differently? He said, Colin, of course, he came through our big 3-day event with the whole mind shift and mind training program. And for me, these success stories, people say, success stories, it's really just people doing the work. One of my favorite ones is actually just down the road in London, Ontario, where we worked with a client for, probably about 18 months. This client came to me, prior to that and said, Colin, we've got a business. It's not doing really well. It's around $26 million a year. And I said, wow, you're not doing very well. What happened last year or the prior 12 months? I said, we actually lost 900 grand. I was like, wow. And the year before that, we lost 500. So I'm like, okay, this is only getting worse. So I said to him, this is what I think your challenge is. I think you have a gross margin challenge. They said to me, what do you mean? We don't have a gross margin challenge. I'm like, you do. And the funny part is it's 2 CPAs that run the company.
Wow. And
I said, well, I can tell you that's what your problem is and we'll figure it out. You work with me and I'll help you turn this around. 18 months later, we're at $1.2 million in profit.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's a huge turnaround. If you take the 900 and the 500 and then the 1.2, you combine those together, that's truly what the turnaround was. Yep. So for me, it's, the biggest thing I think, Jamie, even if I can tell so many more stories of what we've done for people, I think the biggest thing for me is people waking up. People say, Colin, you change lives. You're a motivational speaker. I don't really even consider myself that. I consider myself like a wake-up therapist. Mm-hmm. I get people to wake up and see that they can do things differently. Right. That one day when you wake up and you're like, wow, wait a minute, I don't have to be so stubborn. I don't have to be so so negative about the situations. I think stubbornness is the number one thing that causes businesses to fail. Right. We're so stubborn to taking advice. Like for me, honestly, anyone watching this who's part of Experior, just go to your senior team and mirror what they do. Mm. If they go out every single day and they do certain things, just do what they need to do. Yep. Follow them exactly, mirror exactly what their behaviors, and you'll be successful. And people are like, you serious? It's that simple? It's not rocket science. Yep. I have a realtor. I was actually chatting to one of your team, and I said, I was working with a realtor, and for the last 12 months or so, and this realtor, I said to him, go door knocking. He said, oh, Colin, I don't want to go door knocking. I've worked with him now consistently for 12 months. He door knocks. He made $733,000 in commissions this last 12 months. Rookie realtor, first year. Wow. He said to me, Colin, I can't thank you enough. I said, well, I asked you to go door knocking. You didn't want to do it. So I worked with him and forced him to do the stuff he didn't want to do. Right. And that's the stuff we've got to do. Most of the time, we know what's going to make us successful. No. We know the activities we need to do. We just don't want to do them because we don't like discomfort. We don't like doing things a certain way. We also want to do it our way. For me, I just take the most successful people and copy what they do. Right. I don't steal from them or plagiarize. I just copy. I like the term mirroring. Just mirror what they do. Yep. And this realtor went out, and I've worked with other realtors. And they say to me, Colin, how do I become successful? And I'll say, go door knocking. I don't want to do door knocking. I want to do it my way. I'm like, well, then I can't work with you. Right. I'm like, that's what makes a realtor successful. And people are like, I know there's other realtors, and people might be watching this say there's other ways of doing it. Absolutely. But the key thing is that's the quickest way to become successful. Right. You have formulas that are, here's the quickest way to become successful. You have your team leads that have the way they've done it, maybe all a little bit different, each one of them, but they have a formula to being successful in this industry. And I wish people would just follow those and just mirror them instead of saying, I want to do it my way. You can do whatever you want, 2 or 3 years down the line, but I guarantee you one thing. 2 or 3 years down the line, you won't be doing it your way. Yep. You'll just be mirroring what those more successful people do. And that's a key thing for me.
And again, as much as you're talking about real estate, there's a lot of similarities, obviously, in any sort of sales organization. All revolves around prospecting and so on. But you've also worked with financial advisors, some very high-level financial advisors, people that actually our first connection was through one of these high-level advisors you worked with. So I want people to be well aware of that there's also going to be a lot of experience that you bring to the table in our industry, even though you've never worked directly in it.
Correct.
Which is powerful. In terms of the motivation, because I know that's a key factor, and I think sometimes the reason people aren't waking up on the right side of the bed, so to speak, is because they lack that motivation to get after it. How do you help someone with that maybe has a motivation issue?
I don't think, and I'm not a big fan of motivation to start off with.
Sure.
Okay, sure. That might sound really weird. I think motivation is temporary. Okay. I'm a big fan of inspiration. So I think inspiration is more permanent when people can see things differently. And I'm a big fan of Mel Robbins and myself have a different way of looking at things, and we look at it in one way. We say when you wake up in the morning, you only have 5 seconds to make a decision. Or not 5 seconds. You have your decision's made of what you need to do, but you got to act within 5 seconds. Right. So if you think of it, when people want to, you want to get new habits forming and different things happening for you, you might be lying in bed like, what, I just don't want to get out of bed and go to work today. You have 5 seconds to get your butt out of bed. You get your butt out of bed, you're off to the races. But that 5 seconds, once you go over 5 seconds, you'll be lying in bed. And of course, I call it, Jamie, between the two, I say we have this evil voice and we have this angel voice in our heads, and most of the time the evil voice is winning. So you know that you need to get out of bed and go and do what you need to get done today. I need to go out and I need to prospect. I need to maybe do some cold calls. I need to do some of my warm calls, whatever it is. Do my follow-up. And the evil voice is like, oh, stay in bed. It's snowing outside. It's cold. Look over next to you. You got a partner there. It's really awesome. Why don't you stay in bed? And if you let that, once you're beyond 5 seconds, that evil voice will win every single time. That evil voice is the same thing when you got to do calls. I need to go do phone calls now. And you're sitting in your office and and you're just about to pick up the phone, you're like, evil voice, you know what? Why don't you go have a cup of coffee? You deserve a cup of coffee. And off you go and you get a coffee. And you come back in again and then you sit down again and an evil voice is like, you know what? It's lunchtime. You haven't made a call yet and this evil voice is winning. So the big thing for me is, people being open. I think it's really open-minded, open-hearted to realizing you can be different. I'm a fan of read a book every single day. I read, if I don't read, I listen to a book on Audible every single day. And I'm like, the number one thing, and Pope John Paul said it the best, the worst prison you can ever be in is a closed mind.
Right.
And, that's the biggest thing I can say for people. Be open-minded. Take advice from people. Learn from mentors. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning is, I'm excited for my day. I do meditation in the morning. I do gratitudes. I listen to audiobooks. I have mentors that I listen to all the time, that I take advice from, and I cannot wait to spend time with. I think that's the key thing for me is, what gets you out of bed needs to be something that you enjoy doing. Yeah. And, if someone's in the financial planning industry or insurance, whatever it might be, and I'm just doing this to make money, often that doesn't feed your soul. Yeah. You got to wake up going, I want to go help people. I don't want families to have something tragic happen and then the family's destitute, or they have to move from one area to another area because they can't afford to live there anymore because they don't have any insurance in place, or whatever that situation is. You got to be so passionate about that to be able to go serve people. And I think that's, once you've got that, the rest is easy. Right. But I think a lot of people don't have that, and they're just, I can make a lot of money doing this. And money is one thing. When you're passion driven, money becomes, I think, secondary, but your money grows monstrously.
Right, absolutely. In our upcoming session that we're going to have, I know you're going to touch on this, but maybe we can get a little sneak peek. How do you feel is the best, most practical way that someone can begin to brand themselves? Because I know you talk a lot about branding in your course. One of my favorite parts, and I'm looking forward to it myself when you come and visit us in the summer.
Yeah.
So what's that mean to you, and how do you share that with people?
I think specifically for your industry, branding for me is what makes you unique as a human being. And this is one thing I love to take people through, is really understanding that the only thing that makes you unique, when you're in a group of 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 different advisors that are out there, everyone can say, I have a unique way of putting the products together, or whatever the situation might be. Yeah, that's, there's a number of Me Too people out there that can say they've done the same thing. What truly makes you unique is who you are as a human being. And I think it's your story. When you take your story, and Simon Sinek started this, and then we've taken it to a different level as well, is understanding why you do what you do, and you share this deep core why with other people, and you become in touch with it. Man, that's when things change.
That's amazing.
And that's, for me, when you take it out and you share it with advisors, or the advisors share it with the clients, and the client's like, I want to be part of your business because of who you are and what drives you. Yeah. And it's not about how great the products are. Honestly, as much as I love Experior, not how great Experior is. Mm-hmm. It's how I buy both of us, we buy products and services because we like the human being. When you take it and you get the person's why, which is their heart, into their business, people buy that heart. And when they buy that heart, then they buy you, and then the rest of it's really easy.
Well, I'll tell you that, and that's one of the things that's so attractive about you as a person, is that from the moment I met you, I knew that this wasn't just about having a bunch of people in a room that you could motivate, inspire. It was about changing lives, and I think that's absolutely powerful. Where do you see our relationship going in terms of Make Your Mark and Experior? What do you think we could accomplish together? What's your kind of vision for that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jamie, and thank you for that. I appreciate it, and I'm very driven to helping people and what have you. And I see our relationship going to a level where, one thing that I'm a big fan of, always do what you're exceptional at. and let's make us more exceptional at what we're exceptional at rather than focus on our weaknesses and make us mediocre at our weaknesses. And for me, I think that's where I see such a huge synergy between the two of us, because I know for most financial planners, most advisors, what have you, is their biggest challenge, habits, mindset, really getting those pieces into play, understanding why you do what you do and really getting people to connect with you. I see us taking that to a level where we can really support you and really support the advisors, showing them that there's very specific ways to do things on a daily basis that can really drive them to that next level in synergy with what you do, completely in synergy with what you do. So I know that you're on the same page on this as well, but it really is just taking to that next level where we can work with some of the advisors, maybe individually, but also as a group, and not really got to motivate them, but inspire them to really realize they can be better, they can do more, be more, and receive more in every single way and form. And that for me is a big part of our relationship going forward, is really assisting you, to help all the people that are watching this and saying to them, we can get you to that next level. I'm not going to give you the product knowledge. I'm not going to give you all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff's not my forte. Sure. But I can put the right hard drive in place with the right software on that hard drive inside the subconscious mind to really help the advisors get to that next level.
Well, we're super excited about it.
Me too, man. Absolutely.
Last question. What's your end game look like? What do you want to accomplish? What is your mark on this world going to be? I know you've already made some big dents.
Absolutely, man.
But what is the make your mark, Colin Sprake's?
You know what? If someone said to me, "What's my legacy? What do I want to leave behind?" If someone stood up and there was a eulogy said about me, and I'm more of a celebration guy, and someone was celebrating after I leave this planet in this form, I'd like them to be saying, Colin left a legacy of the number of lives he touched, the number of people he helped, and made. My overall goal is to actually completely reduce the divorce rate in the world, which is really weird. And some people are like, how are you doing that through business? I'm like, well, the biggest challenge for most business owners, money. That's the biggest challenge in relationships, money. That cause relationships to fail. I'm like, fix the business, gives more money in the relationship, therefore fix the relationship. And that's my goal, is to overall leave this planet where people talk about me for what I did for them, and really, not monetarily or anything like that, but more how they spiritually grew within themselves and with their family members, and they got more love in their life. And that to me is, we are so lost some ways, but money is such a driver. Yes, it's a driver, but you know what? Money is nothing without amazing love. So to me, it's having both those things really happening simultaneously. So for me, my legacy would be live this planet with people that are way more successful, way more in love with who they are and what they do, and they've achieved more, and their families are complete units, all happy together, living a real good, amazing life together. That's what my goal is.
That's absolutely incredible. And on your website, I've seen right in there where it says that family is your number one priority. I know the first time we had a real one-on-one conversation, you were talking about your wife. You've been married for how many years?
Yeah, 22 years this year.
22 years. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Well, you know what, Colin? We're super excited to be working together with you. I know it's going to be absolutely life-changing, and we're proud and honored to be a part of the mark that you're going to be making in this world. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. My pleasure as well, man.
Thank you. Hey, if you like this video or any of the other videos that I have on my channel, stay tuned. We have so many more coming, but I want to make sure that you're in the know, that you know when they're coming. So please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the notification bell.